Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to Polygamy or Polygyny Part 3. Why Polygyny? Okay, previously we discussed biological realities, biological facts, and you can go back and check what that discussion is all about. We're going to follow on from that discussion now, where we're going to look at polygyny from a female perspective. Some of you are thinking, okay, why is this dude going to talk about polygyny from a female perspective when he's not a female? Well, that's just too bad because I'm going to do it anyway. I've spoken to a lot of females on the subject, and I personally experienced female behavior in relation to this particular subject. But aside from just anecdotal kind of discussions, which obviously often prove more interesting, but are not representative of a trend. For trends you kind of need statistics, you need sample sets, you need to have sort of a broad and general view of society, which for this kind of segment, this particular segment, I don't have. Okay, so this segment of the discussion is going to be not entirely factual in a sense. However, many people will definitely be able to relate to what I'm going to be talking about today. And so this is basically why polygyny, why women enter polygynous unions. So first let me say that throughout history, women have had it pretty rough in terms of being subjected to their spouses. So basically, what the reality for a woman often now and in the past, but more so in the past, is that if she was married to an abusive spouse, for example, she would suffer in that relationship and have very little recourse to exit that relationship because of her financial dependence on the man. So because she's depending on the man for her survival and she has children with the man, she is committed for life to the man and doesn't have often a lot of recourse to exit that union. Unless, of course, she's an extremely beautiful woman, she puts herself out there, another man comes along and steals her away, kind of thing. And that, although that does happen, that's not always the easiest thing to do. Not for the man and not for the woman. The other man, in other words, and the woman. Most men would just, rather opt to be with someone who isn't married, and whom he doesn't have to compete with someone else to try to get her away from another man, kind of thing. But it does happen. Anyway, so why women enter polygynous unions? Number one is because of the difficulties women face. Women, or some women, have had to be cautious and somewhat cowardly, basically. Okay, when you see a single man, and though you might like the single man, the fact is he has no track record. It's like, where's your resume? Where's the proof that you are able to provide for a family? Where's the proof that you would be able to have kids and you're not shooting blanks, for example? Where's the proof that you actually know how to treat women? Where's that? Okay, it's non-existent. Of course, why? It's a single man, and you have not observed him in relationships with women, serious sexual relationships with women, and so you don't know whether he's able to make a woman happy, please a woman, whether he's able to be responsible, whether he's able to father children, etc. So you know none of that. So when, as a woman, you approach a single man, okay, the risks are infinitely higher, okay? It is extremely dangerous to do so because there's no resume, basically. It's like hiring a new staff member into your company that comes there without a resume and has no experience, and you are just betting on him being able to hopefully do the job, okay, based on almost nothing, okay, just based on whether you like the person or not, right? Obviously, very few companies would hire anyone in that particular fashion. So in this sense, you know, starting a union with a man is like hiring the man, okay? The woman is obviously the gatekeeper, and so it's like she's hiring the man to fulfill a function, and the job is extremely important because the woman is choosing someone on which she needs to rely and depend on, hopefully for the rest of her life. That would be her ideal. And so that's when polygyny starts to look very attractive. You see, when a woman sees a man and he's a married man, and it is evident that his wife is reasonably happy, his children are reasonably happy, he's responsible, he looks after them well, it is clear that the relationship is good, it is a safe bet for the woman to aim at marrying that particular man. Okay. Now, and women do marry those men, regardless of how many other wives they have, because there are certain things they know about those men. They know those men are safe. They know those men are responsible. They know those men know how to take care of women. And most importantly, from the biological perspective, because women don't always think with their frontal cortex, you know, the frontal lobe, the rational brain, but there's the reptilian brain, you know, that functions on instinct also. And that is, there's proof that this man is able to have children. The fertility of the man is proven by the fact that he has children. And so, if you think I'm talking a lot of bullshit, some of you will, okay? I'd ask you to consider for a minute your typical alpha male, okay? Your man that is rich, that is famous, that is successful, okay? It is often the case that this type of man has many women. These types of men generally sleep with many women or have many women, okay? But for every woman he has, there are probably an equal amount of women that are willing to be with him, if not more, okay? Because the other reality of the situation is that women are curious and competitive. And so if he, the man, is doing it for all these other women, and they all crazy about him, then the woman on the outside who is not part of his harem, as it is, you know, she wants to know what is it these women are experiencing. She wants to be part of it. So there is this communistic aspect to some women where they want to actually belong, okay? Because instinctively, women are very tribalistic, okay? And so they want to belong. They want to become part of something, and they see all these women flocking around this man, and so they also want to flock around, you know, this man. So basically, for every woman a man has, there are more women willing to be with him. And that I've experienced personally. Many men will tell you they have experienced it, that when they were single and they didn't have anyone, it was very difficult to get someone, okay? The minute they got married and had a wife, you know, several women have then after that proposition them, if not for marriage, then at least for sex. If not for sex, then to be impregnated or whatever. Okay, but several women do in fact proposition married men, because married men are in reality more in demand than single men. The reason is because the assumption on the part of women is that married men know what they're doing, and that's kind of the issue. Okay, the way men look at women and women look at men is very different. Okay, a lot of men still today would value marrying a woman who is a virgin and who has no experience. Okay, whereas a lot of women don't mind being with men. In fact, many of them would prefer to be with men who actually have experience, because no woman wants to be the experiment of a man. They want to benefit from other women having been the experiment. Okay? They want to benefit from other women having trained this man to reach a certain point, and then they want to step in and claim all those benefits afterwards, kind of thing. So in reality, what I want to bring to your attention is actually women are in reality polygynous, in the sense that they try to profit off of the commitments of other women in relation to men. Okay, they try to profit off of the experience men gain from other women. And so a man with lots of women is always able to attract an even greater amount of women, just through the fact that he has lots of women, or that he has been with lots of women, because there is something about this man that speaks of experience, of power. And if so many women have wanted to be with him and have been with him, then there must be something amazing about him, and then so many more women would want to also be with him. And so this is kind of the way a lot of women operate. Women also tend to follow a crowd. Okay, women are tend to be very easily manipulated, in the sense that women tend to be more socially orientated, more willing to pick up on a trend and follow a trend, and go with what is current. Men tend to be more ideologically driven, meaning that men tend to go more with what they think is right. Women tend to go with more with what is happening now in society. Whether it is right or whether it is wrong is secondary to how she feels about something. And so obviously, we tend to blame men a lot for a lot of things, especially for sexual misconduct, but you gotta also realize that the sexual misconduct of men, is not only the problem of men, because men don't have sex with themselves at the end of the day. I'm talking about heterosexual men. So when they engage in promiscuity, extramarital relations and all of that, they are actually sleeping around with lots of women who are okay with the fact that they are doing it. Okay? Now, when I say okay, maybe some women are conflicted about it, but they do it anyway, because at the end of the day, many women go with how they feel. And the reason why they do that, why women actually do that and entertain that behavior, is not because they are sluts. It's not because they necessarily want to be home wreckers. I'm not making excuses for them, by the way, although it sounds that way. I'm just saying, understand it. It's because they are polygynous, basically. It's because the man with many women has a resume, basically. He has proven himself, and that's what it's about. Why, you might ask, wouldn't such women, some of them, a lot of these women that are covertly in polygynous unions, in the form of being mistresses to married men, are extremely attractive women. They are, a lot of them are young women in their 20s, sometimes even younger, who are in relationships with married men who are much older than them often, and they opt for that. It's not to say that they cannot get a young guy who is more or less their age and who is single. They opt for the married man because the married man seems more stable, and that's the reality of the situation. He's a man that seems more stable, he's established, he's going to, when he is not with his mistress, she feels more or less certain that he's with his wife when he's not with her, okay? As opposed to young single men who can run around with any number of women and who is unstable and for whom commitment is uncertain. You see, the thing about married men, the thing about married men, and I can speak for myself and lots of other married men, is that in general, we don't like instability. We don't like instability, we don't really like flings, because we are used to being married. We are used to stability. We have families. We have children. We have things to take care of. And the last thing we have time for is an emotional roller coaster with some woman that is confused and doesn't know what she wants, and wants more attention than you can really afford to give her, and all those types of things. That's the last thing married men want. And so women who have their shit together, basically, they like being with married men, because married men generally have their shit together. And if a woman has her shit together, she has a busy life, she has a career, she has things she's doing, she's got goals, she's got objectives in life, she also doesn't have time for a man who is going to constantly be in need of her and her attention, and want to spend more time with her than she's able to afford him, etc., etc. And so the reality in the world is that a lot of women are actually very much polygynous. The women that are most offended by polygyny are obviously women who have a man, who have taken the risk, of course, to pair bond with a man who was single, who then trained him on how to be a man, how to treat a woman, how to, and who then, has to suffer the consequences of another woman coming along and also being with the same man after the man has benefited from, the investment that she put in him, basically. So those are usually the disgruntled women in terms of polygyny. And they also the women that tend to moralize a lot, in the sense that they would say that, look, I would never do that, I would never marry a married man, or I would never come. But the truth is that they actually would. They just haven't been put in that situation. But when put in that situation, a lot of women would actually marry a married man, despite that they say they won't. Because saying you won't and then genuinely, liking a married man and feeling that the only man you want to be with is that one particular man, right, enables a woman to compromise extremely, to compromise her set values, in very extreme ways, despite that she might say she actually doesn't want it. And so there is this type of conflict from a female perspective regarding polygyny. But in reality, guys, and girls, women are actually polygynous. They tend to want men who already have women. Okay, there's a saying that says no fruit is as sweet as the forbidden fruit, kind of thing. Well, the way this works actually is that if polygyny is not seen as forbidden, right, it actually would be less of a problem than it is now. Okay, less people would actually be in polygyny if polygyny wasn't seen as a problem, ironically, because a lot of people are in polygyny and they don't even know it. Okay, thank you very much.